Hello and welcome to the Rugby Development Coach channel. In this video, I'm going to be taking you through a rugby workout that you can do in the gym that's going to help you get stronger, fitter, and faster. Okay, when you're in the gym, I like to be able to train all different qualities that's going to suit rugby players. I like to put things in my programs that are going to help rugby players out in the field. Simple, like things like the neck. Right? If we have a stronger neck, then we can help reduce concussions. Right? They can be stronger in tackles. It's a little bit safer. This is only one day of my current workouts. I'm currently doing a full body split. I recommend full body splits if you are only training twice a week or 3 times a week. I'm actually trying one which goes 4 times a week. It's a little bit of an experimental program. So if you like it, you can try it yourself, but it's a little bit more advanced. I have been training for a very long time and I know how to do a lot of these lifts. In saying that, with all my RDC clients that we train, I expect them to be able to do all these things as I build them up. So I give them the regressions and we build them up to be able to do all these things. I'm also going to try to help explain to you why we do certain things, because every single thing you do in the gym should have a purpose, right? It's not about walking around, just doing random exercises, doing as many exercises as you can do. It's about having a purpose of what we want to train. So I always start the workouts with something powerful, okay? So when you're designing your workouts, what you want to do is get the most out of your central nervous system, okay? So like this is your brain, your spinal cord connecting to your muscles, because that's how you're going to grow, okay? The better recovered you are and the better your CNS is working, your central nervous system, right? The more activation we can get to the muscles. And the more activation, the more power and output you can get through your muscles, the more growth in muscle size and strength we're going to get, okay? And that is key. So that means that how you program can actually really influence your results. Okay, so what we don't want to do is then do something straight up, which is going to tax us before we get to our other stuff. Okay, so we want to do our fast stuff first. We obviously want to get some blood flow going and we want to do our fast stuff, but without taxing our bodies so that later on when we get to our lifts, we don't have the energy. Our CNS is fatigued. Okay, so that would be CNS fatigue. We don't want that. So a really simple one, it could be like a ball throw, simple like this. And what you want to do is actually throw it as hard as you possibly can. You could do it against a wall. You could do it throwing it straight up, but I'm throwing it as hard as I possibly can. I could put weights behind it if I wanted to, but simple as that for about 10 reps, all right? And then if I really wanted to warm myself up again, throwing it to the ground, you'll be careful you don't hit yourself in the head, because I've seen people do that. Throwing it down as hard as you can. You can do ones if you're out in the park. You can throw a ball up as high as you can. This one's only 2 kilos. Sometimes I use a heavier one. There we go, 2 kilos. A really good way to get warmed up. So I'd usually do a couple of those, get some blood flowing. I might push my sled up and down. Today I'm not doing that. And then I'll move it on to something else that's quite quick but not going to tax me too much. And how it's not going to be taxing me too much is because I'm only going to do a few sets and a few reps, okay? And that's the key for not taxing your nervous system. The more reps you do, the more you're going to cause muscle damage, and that muscle damage is going to cause a lot of fatigue. So we don't want that. Throwing my ball around, now I'm getting into my weightlifting stuff. Now I really like this, right, to help increase how fast you can move something. And it's a hang, I usually do a hang clean, but I'm going to keep this easy for you. And all you need to do is, we'll go from the power position actually, a power position shrug. And we want to do a maximum of 5 reps. And I'll build that weight up until those 5 reps are actually quite hard, okay? So really good one. It's a power clean shrug from the power position actually. And then, you know, once you get that, you can start doing other cool things. You can go from there. And we get into our full clean from there, or we can go into our hang position, up from there. There's lots of different things. I'm going to do more videos on how we can regress and progress this stuff to help you with your rate of force development with stuff like this. Okay, so far we've done our ball throws into a wall. Now, you probably want to do 3 sets of 10 of that. With our power work, I would only do 3 sets of 3 to 5 reps, okay, which would be a total of, you know, in between 9 and 15 reps, which means we won't get that much fatigue. So then when we move on to our next thing, this is where we're going to get a real strength stuff, okay? So we've warmed up, we've got some blood flow going, we've done our power, our brain switched on, and now we're ready to get into our big lifts. So I'm about to move on to my squats now, okay? So if I was just doing one of my normal days and I was doing a normal program, which is usually a 4-day split, and I was doing a upper, lower sort of split, I would probably do a lot of just mainly leg stuff beforehand. So I would do a lot of calf raises, and that will get some blood flowing down to the bottom. But also, you have to think about when you're programming, the first couple of things you pick in terms of your strength work, because of your central nervous system, they're what's going to get the most results. Okay, so like you have to actually be really choosy. Okay, what is most important to me right now? And that's how I program. Okay, so like squats are always going to be after the warm up, after the quick stuff. Central nervous system is not going to be taxed. But after we do our squats, our central nervous system is going to be taxed. So everything we do from them isn't going to get the same level of results. Okay, so you need to think about that. So I like to do calves first. Makes me get my calves in. My CNS is not going to get too fatigued from that, and that helps me warm up. I might do some plyos, so some very low volume plyos, so like some broad jumps, pogos. I love to do some pogos. And when you do any of your lifts, jumps, whatever it may be, it's all about putting as much effort on the concentric or the jumping phase as possible. So you have to put, and that's what's going to get you the results. So as much effort as possible. Okay, so if I'm doing pogos here, if I want to grow as much height as possible out of that, okay? Same as my squat, with as much intent as possible. So I want you to keep that in mind, okay? So in this day, I'm going to be doing squats. We've got 5 sets. Sorry, no, I don't have 5 sets. We've got 4 sets of 3. Now, the reasoning for the 4 sets is that I'm doing legs 4 other days of the week. So we don't want to tax it too much because I want to be able to still get growth on those other days. It's really important then this is how I sort of work out my volume is, okay, well, how much am I actually going to train it that week? And this goes for in-season, off-season. My in-season programming, I get people to do 2 sessions a week and then one sort of speed session where you're not taxing that nervous system or creating muscle damage. So it's the muscle damage which is going to really tax the central nervous system. Yeah, so when I'm picking my volume, I'm trying to work out how much am I actually going to do that week, and that will determine how many sets I need for that certain exercise, okay? And so because I'm doing this a fair bit this week, so I'll be doing 4 different full body days, I don't need to do as much volume each day. I can do less volume each day, and that way my nervous system isn't too fatigued every day, and I can continue to lift heavy and get that growth. Now you might look at my depth here and be like, how's it getting that low? Well, I'm telling you right now, I've got the shoes on, which help, but it's all about consistent mobility work, which actually helps your hips feel better. And with that depth, it means that I can actually recruit more motor units, right, and get more growth out of my legs, okay, and more strength. That also means I'm strong in those lower positions. And sometimes you find yourself in those weird positions on the field that if you have the strength there, you're not going to hurt yourself, and you can actually power out of it. There's a few reasons for that. And I'm not saying that you have to always use that sort of depth. You don't. I also use quarter reps and half reps as well, which are for different purposes. But for majority of my growth, it would be to do full range. So let's go. So that weight there isn't actually even heavy enough for me to cause growth at 3 reps. So I can't actually count that one as a set. So like I said, I'm going to do 4 sets of 3. That's not heavy enough, okay, for that 4 set. I could have got another 3, 4 reps, maybe more out of that. Problem that people actually make is they don't actually set the right loads, and they're too far away from their failure. Right, you need to be very close to your failure, your technical failure, and the reps. Low reps near failure, you're going to get strength and you're going to get hypertrophy and damage. Okay, you're still going to get, yes, you're going to get muscle damage, but not as much. And less muscle damage means less CNS fatigue. CNS fatigue, you can work out more often. You can lift heavier more often. Here's an example of actually something that I use in a lot of my programs is I do a bit of contrast training. So we might do a squat into something powerful like a broad jump or even just a vertical jump on the spot, and you're trying to reach something above you. So I just got a roof right now, so I'll show you what it's like. That stimulates and we squat. So one of the other important things that you need to be doing is having long rest periods, okay, because that just builds up fatigue, right? If I have a short rest period, I won't be able to lift that again, okay? And then I'm reducing my ability for growth, strength. So rest, 2 minutes at a minimum. Tax yourself, but generally just rest. Because this was a full body day, I didn't actually get to talk about hamstrings as I do about hamstrings on my other days. But it's really important you train your hamstrings well. And just like any other muscle, you need it strong everywhere. So there's a big difference between Nordics and hamstring curls and RDLs and how they train the hamstrings. And so you want a combination of all three of them. But that doesn't mean you need to do it all in the same week. What you want to have different programs, which is overloading different parts of the muscle. And that's why you need to change your programs every 3 to 4 weeks. And it'll continue your growth because you'll be able to get the high threshold motor units in the different parts of the muscle. And that goes for all of your training, not just hamstrings or legs. So if it was just a lower day, then I would probably do a squat with a long rest and then into a hamstring, because it's kind of the opposite antagonist, what you would say. And in our workouts, we're really always aiming for 20 effective reps in different parts of the muscle. So if it was just a leg day, we'd probably start off with some calf work, some power work, some jumps, some pogos, and then move into either the hamstrings or the quads and glutes in the squat or quarter squat even. It just depends where we're working at, what we want to overload. Bit of a break in between this. I ran out of time because of the filming and didn't get to get it all done in one session like I would have liked, which is okay. I actually had to go to jiu-jitsu in between, so I've been doing jiu-jitsu, and that would mean I'm quite fatigued. So I'll have a fair bit of peripheral fatigue from that, okay, which means I might not be as strong. But you know what? Sometimes you just got to get the work done. You know, sometimes it's not always perfect, and yeah, we just got to see how we go. So I'm going to keep building up. We have 4 sets, 3 reps for both, and yeah, so when you're building up in weights, you don't want to start your first set too far away from your last set. So like if you're doing a ramp set, if that first set, say I'm doing dips, right, and I'm building up in weight, say I'm doing dips and I'm building up in weight, and I start off with just body weight, right, and I do 3 reps, and then I go up to 20 kilos, 3 reps, and then I go up to 40 kilos, 3 reps, and I go up to 60 kilos for 3 reps, then all those other sets don't count until I get to 60 kilos. Because the 60 kilos one is probably the one that's going to matter. And it's going to matter if I get the 3 reps out and I'm near failure on that 3rd rep. And that's what matters. So then this is where a big problem is. People don't actually ramp up very well. They ramp up too far away from where they would fail. And the amount of effective reps they're actually getting out is actually quite low. Okay, so that's understanding where you're starting your sets is very important. I call mine like effective working sets for my clients, essentially. So they're always building up until they get to the point where they're near that failure. Right, so I'm just going to warm myself back up again. Usually I would do this actually. So I would make sure I get this session done before I go to jiu-jitsu, because you want to do your conditioning stuff or your fitness stuff after you do your strength sessions, because of that peripheral fatigue, and then getting the nervous system fatigue, which means I'm not going to be able to lift as much, and that means my gains are going to be slightly less. Well, less, and I'm sore. So I just want to give you some advice around training your upper body. So say you're doing just an upper body day, essentially where you go in and do all your upper body, and you're going to do that twice a week. So I program that like quite a lot, because one of the best ways I found to program is 4 days a week. That gives you plenty of recovery and you get plenty of volume in. So with your upper body days, what I like to do is obviously start with our throws, like I showed you, get the warm up going, get the joints warmed up. I usually do a lot of things for the back of the shoulders, rear delts, because if you're doing a lot of pressing motions, then having strong rear delts really helps. So like face pulls with a band or with a cable really helps. If I'm doing, so say I'm doing a flat bench press on Monday or Tuesday, whichever day it is, start of the week. And on the following upper body day, I'd probably do something at 90 degrees from there. So I'd do a shoulder press, a push press, anything like that. One thing I really hate seeing people do is just like follow ridiculous programs where they do like 5, 6 different like chest exercises or like shoulder exercises. They'll do their deltoid flies like this way, every single way you can think of, and you're a footy player, mate. Like, you need intensity, and if you're doing that, then you're not training with enough intensity to actually tire yourself out. Okay, so it's like if you're doing a chest session and you're doing chest in all different angles, like decline, dips, flat bench press, then dumbbells. Like how much are you actually getting from that? Because you're fatiguing the system. You're either not training with enough intensity to tire yourself out, and intensity referring to how close you are to getting to failure. And that's probably the biggest thing. You're probably not doing that if you can do all those other exercises. Because once if you have done that right in the first exercise, then those other exercises you're going to get almost nothing from. You're going to get very little from it. Okay, you're not a bodybuilder, so why would you do that? You're better off picking 2 exercises for that day to get really good at. The first one you pick is where you're going to get the most of the growth. So if you want to get big arms, you would train arms more often, right? So I thought that would be a good little tip for you. Try and simplify. And then if you want to do all these different angles, right? So say you want to do your decline, you want to do your flat bench, you want to do your dumbbells, rotate them in different phases. Okay, so rotate them. So for 4 weeks, you might be doing a flat dumbbell press, right? And then you might move into a slight incline one, or then you might go to barbell, and it's just going to be slight differences there. And you're probably going to get way better results that way by focusing on intensity rather than trying to do all the different exercises at once. All right, so I was going to show you pendlay rows. I was going to do pendlay rows part of my program today. That's what's down, but I'm going to show you pull-ups instead. This works with pull-ups and chin-ups. I like to use both variations of pull-ups and chin-ups. What I wanted to show you is how to build up your chin-up really fast, because a lot of people can't do chin-ups or pull-ups, whatever. It doesn't matter which way you do. You can do neutral grip too. But yeah, I want to show you the fastest way to do it, because a lot of people can't, and I don't like using bands. Let's put it that way. So I'm just going to do a quick warm-up, because I like chin-ups, because with chin-ups, it's a really good way to show how strong you are pound for pound. So can you pull your body weight up? Right, if you're 140 kilos, I still expect you to be able to pull up your body weight. All right, and I've had plenty of props I've trained at 140 kilos, and I can do it for reps. And this is how we do it. So if you can't do a pull-up yet, if you can climb up on something, I don't really have a good climbing station here, but it's climbing up, right, to halfway, right, where your elbows are nearly at 90 degrees, and you're just going to hold here as hard as you can, trying to pull yourself up. That's the key, is trying to actually pull up. I can actually pull myself up, okay? And because you're trying to pull yourself up, what you're doing is you're going to get the muscles really strong. You're going to activate all of the high threshold motor units, all right? And we're going to get you strong fast, right? You might be only able to hold that for 5 seconds. Great, that's 5 seconds. Next time, 6 seconds, 7 seconds, 10 seconds. I build all the way up to 30 seconds where you can hold that, just doing that. All right, then on the next phase, or day 2 of the program, or whenever you want to do it, what you can do is go a chin-up grip, which would be hands underneath, and you could start all the way at the top, and you could just hold there and see how long you can hold there. All right, and doing this, you're actually going to build up this chin up really, really fast. Okay, and then you can just focus on going down. All right, and then trying to pull yourself back up. Focus on going down as slow as you can. Build that up to 30 seconds where you can control it all the way down for 30 seconds. So if I went all the way up and I controlled down for 30 seconds, like this, that would build up a lot of strength. Now to wrap up this workout, you might want to do some cardio. So either 1,000 meters on the rower, 2,000 meters on the rower. It just depends where you're currently at, and just do it at a constant pace. Don't try and kill yourself. Zone 2 cardio. It's fairly easy, it's a moderate pace. It's a good way to finish, and that's not going to ruin any of your gains, but it's a good way to stay fit for the field. Saying that, I also like to do some core work sometimes. So I actually usually do my core work at the beginning when I'm strongest, and it's not going to tax my nervous system too much. I might do some carries, some suitcase carries. I might do some, I'm just going to show you my core workouts actually that I really like. GHD sit-ups I really like as well. Have a look at our core exercises that I show in other videos. And you can go through all my other videos where I show you different exercises for different tools. So to recap this, what we want to do with your workouts, okay, you got to know how many days a week are you realistically going to get to the gym or down to the field as well, because you want to be doing some sprint training on top of it. For my programs, we put sprint training in because that's such a crucial key to staying fit and fast on the field. So what we want to do is we want to get to the gym. We want to have some power stuff first. We want to have our throws. We want to get our nervous system going. Something that's not too taxing. It's going to cause too much peripheral fatigue, which is then going to slow us down and slow down our gains. So what we want to start with that, and then something quite fast as well. Like I like to do some sort of power clean variations or snatch variations, which I think everyone can do and learn, and they're really good for one, training the brain, getting you more athletic and getting you faster. And then you go into your core work. Now if you're doing a full body day, you would do something around, so if you're doing full body, you would do what I did. I did a squat first. You might do your bench press first on a different day, or an incline press, whatever it may be. You just mix up which goes first, because remember that first one is where your nervous system is the freshest and where you're going to get the most results. So that's really critical. And then you could do some contrast training if you like with that, and just depending if you're in season or out of season, better out of season doing the contrast training, doing some plyometrics with it. And the plyometrics, it depends on where you're at in your season, and what you've currently done, where you're up to, because you don't want to blow out your joints, but you want your joints to get strong. You want to be able to get bouncy. So that's really important. And then, going through that, you want to get your core work in. You want to try and hit everything, okay? So, that's my whole thing is, you want to be strong from all angles. Everything needs to be strong. But how you do that is not in one session. You don't try and get everything strong in one session, okay? Or even one plan. Not one plan, you're going to get everything strong, right? Because they're actually training properly with intensity, right? The fatigue will not allow you to do that. That's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole different set of rules. Okay, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about for natural guys and girls who want to train for rugby. So, if you have any questions, please hit me up on Instagram. That's probably the best place you'll catch me. Put your thoughts and anything below in comments, and I'll get back to you. Please like and subscribe to my channel. That really helps. Send this to a mate who trains like an idiot. That also helps. All my programs, I'll be put down the links below. If you want to get stronger, fitter, and faster, and you don't want to have to think about it for yourself, and you want to be coached, to make sure that you are getting the right programming and the right coaching so that you get the results on the field. And we have thousands of results now. So please check it out. We also have kids programs too. So if you're a parent, we also do have kids. We have bodyweight programs. We have fitness only programs. So we've got everything covered for your needs. Let me know how you go with that too. Also, just hit me up. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this. That was a bit of a scramble, but